Take a moment to settle your mind as we explore the essential practice of constant prayer. These teachings are drawn from the Philokalia, a sacred collection of texts written by masters of the Eastern Christian tradition. Today, we listen to the profound words of Saints Kallistos and Ignatios, two monks from Mount Athos whose writings date back to the late 14th century. Their wisdom, recorded over 600 years ago, remains a timeless guide on how prayer becomes the very breath of our soul and the foundation of our spiritual life. Kallistos Xanthopoulos and Ignatios, on prayer, and how one must pray at all times. Section 29. Just as our body without the soul is dead, so the soul that does not impel itself to pray is dead and wretched. We should regard our failure to pray as more painful than death itself. We can learn this from the great prophet Daniel, who said he would rather die than lose one single moment of prayer. Sound, too, is the teaching of Saint John Chrysostom when he says, "Everyone who prays converses with God," and everyone knows how great a thing is such converse with the divine. Yet no one can describe this honor in words, for it transcends even the majesty of the angels. Elsewhere he writes, "Prayer is common to both angels and men. Where prayer is concerned, there is nothing that separates us from the angels. On the contrary, it is prayer that distinguishes men from animals and unites them with the heavenly hosts. If you devote your whole life to prayer and to the worship of God, you will soon be transported into the realm of the angels and will share in their mode of life, their dignity, and their understanding." He continues, "When the devil sees a soul well fortified with virtues, he does not dare to come near it. He is afraid of the power and strength furnished by prayer, which nourishes the soul better than food nourishes the body. The sinews of the soul are prayers. For just as the body is held together and supported by the sinews, so souls are set in order and integrated through holy prayer. Without it, the harmony of our inner life is disrupted. If you deprive yourself of prayer, it is as if you were to pull a fish out of the water. For just as water is life for the fish, so prayer is life for you. Through prayer, you can wing your way through the air and ascend into heaven to draw near to God. Prayer and supplication make us temples of God, just as gold, precious stones, and marble make the palaces of emperors. So prayer makes the soul a temple of Christ. And he, whom the heavens cannot contain, enters into the soul when it lives on prayer. Saint John Chrysostom also says, "One may gain knowledge of the power of holy prayer from the life of St. Paul. Paul sped through the whole world as if borne on wings. He dwelt in prisons, suffered scourgings, and lived among constant dangers. Yet he did not trust in the salvation of men, but fortified his soul with prayer. After performing miracles and raising the dead, he immediately resorted to prayer like an athlete returning to the practice ground. For it is prayer that brings about the resurrection of the soul. The power that water gives to trees, prayer gives to the lives of the saints. It is the ground of salvation, an impregnable wall of the church, and a stronghold terrifying to demons. Just as when a queen enters a city, all her riches must follow behind her, so when prayer enters the soul, every virtue enters with it. What the foundations are for a house, prayer is for a soul. We must first establish prayer as our base, and then diligently build onto it self-restraint and care for others. Fervent prayer is light for the understanding, an unquenchable and eternal light. It is because of this that the evil one litters our minds with distracting thoughts when we pray. He scrapes together things that have never entered our minds and tips them into our soul. Remember, prayer is a great weapon and a great safeguard. Saint Gregory the Theologian says, "It is better to be mindful of God than to breathe." And again, invoke God in your thoughts more frequently than you breathe. Saint Isaac adds, "Without ceaseless prayer, you cannot approach God." He warns that any prayer in which the body does not labor, and the heart is not moved, must be regarded as soulless. Saint John Climacus says, "Prayer is essentially the union of man with God. It upholds the world and brings about reconciliation. It is a bridge over temptations, a barrier against sorrow, and the source of all virtues. For him who truly prays, prayer is the court and the judgment seat of Christ, which precedes the final judgment. He concludes, prayer is nothing other than detachment from the world, both visible and invisible. St. Nila says, if you long for prayer, renounce all to gain all. Prayer is the ascent of the intellect to God. Bread is food for the body, and holiness is food for the soul. Spiritual prayer is the true food for the mind. Thank you for listening. If this passage gave you something to reflect on, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy readings and texts like these, I invite you to join this growing community. Until next time.